Children, you are ready for the new lesson? Yes. Now you go for supplementary reading, earthquake. Okay. Take a pencil. If any new words are there, you are not don't know the meaning, underline it. Para by para, when I am explaining, you can write that meaning also. Right. I'll read the lesson. Orius earthquake. Lesson 2. M.S. Madhavan wrote this supplementary lesson. Are you a stranger to these parts, waiting for the bus to Badrinath? Perhaps you are a pilgrim or a visitor to the Valley of Flowers. Anyway, whoever you are, come with me. Wait at my tea stop. It is just past the bend in the road. As you can see, I am carrying this can of milk to the shop. In 10 minutes, I will have a fire going. While you warm yourself, I will prepare for you a best cup of tea in all Garhwal. It will chase away the pinched blue look from your face. That means it's very, I will explain in next paragraph also, I'll read and then I'll explain you. How here we are. Welcome to my humble roadside tea stop. Make yourself comfortable on this wooden bench. Comfortable on this wooden bench. It looks rickety, but it will hold your weight. Rickety means what? Shaky, weak, joint, fragile, insecure. Anything you can say for the rickety. My name Sahib. I am called Bridgie. I am 17 years old. I started this tea shop 2 years ago. Before that, I worked in a roadside dhaba outside Panipat. Dhaba means what? Roadside restaurant. The heat, the crowd, the pollution, it was all too much. I had saved most of my earnings. What is telling to that boy? He said, Earthquake is the story of a little boy called Bridge, Brij, whose attempts at finding his little sister buried under the debris after a devastating earthquake for 116 hours turns out to be a miraculous success. The story begins with the references to Bridgie offering tea to strangers in his roadside tea shop in Garhwal. Now we can read that. Now what I read it, you can see that Bridget told that boy to come and sit in a comfortable, means convenient wood bench. It will be rickety only. Even then, that bench will hold your weight. His name is Saib. What is telling? His name is Bridgie. Okay. Before he's working in a roadside dhaba outside Panipat. Dhaba, I told you already, roadside restaurant. The heat, the crowd, the pollution, it was all too much. I had saved most of my earnings. Thus, boy speaks cheerfully to people waiting for the bus. So here he told no to come and wait near my tea shop. He prepared and give tea for that boy. The boy speaks cheerfully to people waiting for the bus and introduces himself as a 17-year-old who had earlier worked in a roadside dhaba outside Panipat. In the course of his conversation, he also lets the strangers know that Molti, the village he had belonged to, was ruined in an earthquake 4 years ago. He described about himself and introduced himself and told his village ruined with earthquake before 4 years ago. Was ruined in an earthquake 4 years ago. Okay, we next go for the next paragraph. But what happened? Yes, tremors are common in these parts. These snows may seem eternal. The Himalayas may look solid, but the truth is, deep down they are unstable. We who live here are accustomed to tremors. Accustomed means what? What is the meaning of accustomed? Any one of you? Habituated. What accustomed means what? Habituated. Tremors means what? Tremble or rhythmic shaking. But what happened that night was more than that. It was a terrible earthquake. Its effects were felt as far away as Delhi and Lucknow. It was sure chance that Bridge was away from Multi when the earth quaked. He had been to Pori to buy his school books and had stayed back at his uncle's place for that night. The earthquake did not last for long. It was for less than 5 minutes, but its effects was devastating. But its effect was devastating. For the living, the nightmare began at work daybreak when the news trickled in of the large-scale devastation. There were dozens of landslides, huge boulders thrown across motorable tracks and roads. Precious time was spent in blasting the rocks and clearing the way of army rescue teams. It was all of 4 days before help arrived Malti. Here, it was sure change that Brigi was away from Malti when the earth quaked. He had been Puri, was by his school books, had stayed back at his uncle's place for night. The earthquake did not last for long. It was for less than 5 minutes, but its effect was devastating. He is explaining it. Epicenter was the valley near Garhwal. Out of the 670 villages, how many villages are there? 670 villages. 602 villages were destroyed. How many villages are destroyed? 602. It brought the centuries old mountains crashing, reduced the villages to rubble, and snuffed out hundreds of lives. The landslide, which were in dozens, led to roadblock with huge boulders thrown across the motorable track and the roads. I was among the first to reach the village. My uncle accompanied me. We feared the worst, but nothing had prepared us for what we saw. Everywhere, single house, every wall, every roof had been flattened. Stone, rubble, and dust were all that remained. Our house was two-storied stone building with a slat roof. My great grandmother had built the house. We were a small family. My father had died after an illness just 14 months ago. My mother took care of us. We were 3 children. I was the oldest. My brother Nilu was 10. Bilu, my 2-year-old sister, was the baby of the family. My grandmother lived with us. When the soldiers began to clear the debris, my uncle led me away. I was in complete daze, too numb to feel nothing. So after the earthquake, Bridget returned to Malti. He had dismay of performing the last rites of all his family members except for his 2-year-old sister, Bolly, who was not found by the rescue operators. Everybody concluded that she was eaten up by the old animals. But when Bridget insisted on looking for her among the debris of his house, an army officer with 2 of his men resumed the rescue work, though there was a little chance of the child being alive after 116 hours. 160 hours. Then she is alive, someone said. It was a miracle. She had been buried under the debris for 116 hours. She had survived the earthquake, the cold night, and the wild animals. A ragged cheer went up as the soldier wrapped her in a warm blanket and carried her alive. Bully lived. The next day I went to thank the army officer, but he was gone. I did not even know his name. My sister and I went to live with my uncle. Soon after, I got a job at a dhaba near Panipat. Bully stayed back. She started going to school. It waited on me and never thanked the army officer. I hoped that one day I would run into him again. Every time I saw an army man, I would hope it was him. For months, I would search for his face in every crowd, and one day I did find him. But when, what is the explanation of this paragraph? But when Bridgie insisted on looking for her among the debris of his house, an army officer with 2 of his men resumed the rescue work, though there was a little chance of the child being alive after 160 hours, but miraculously, Bolly was alive. However, Bridgie never got the chance to thank the army officer, isn't it? This weighed on his conscience. Always, wherever the crowd is there, he searched for his face to say thank to him. It was late on a winter night. A truck stopped at the dhaba. A man got out. He looked familiar. When he stepped into the light, I saw that it was not him, just someone who bore a strong resemblance. The man was tired. He asked for a cup of tea. As I served him, Sahib, I felt this strange lightness, this sense of joy. When the man offered to pay, I did not take the money. The next day, it happened again. Every day, I would see someone, a complete stranger, a tired traveler who reminded me of that officer. It was as if he was everywhere, and every time I served him tea, I felt a surge of Sri joy. Here, however, Bridgie never got the chance to thank the army officer. This weighed on his consciousness. When he returned to Panipat, he worked in a roadside dhaba outside Panipat. He saved money to open a tea stop. I told you every day he's waiting for the same tired travelers coming to his shop who reminded me that the same officer, it was as if he was everywhere. So he think that one wherever whomever he sees, he think that the army officer who saved his little sister. A month later, I quit my job at the dhaba and returned to those mountains. The dhaba owner was quite relieved. He had no use of a waiter who kept forgetting to present the bill to the customer. Now I am on my own and I am at peace. Here is your bus, Sahib. No, no money. You were tired. All I offered you was a cup of tea. Maybe it was the best tea in all Garwal. Maybe not. But I am happy I could do this small service. Wish you a safe journey, Sahib. May God be with you. The bridge is telling to the officer who is coming and drinking the tea every day, and he didn't get the money from this person, and he told, I could do this small service to you. I wish you a safe journey, Sahib. May God be with you. This is the content of the lesson. We'll see the glossary of this. Rikti I told you already. Dhaba I told you. Accustomed I told you. Devastation means lay waste. Lay waste. Rubble, fragments of brick or stone. So, okay. Debris means strewn fragments and wreckage. Babbling, talk of horticulturally. Repeat. Babbling means what? Repeat. Grimy, dirt. Engulfed, swallowed. This is the lesson of the earthquake. When it's occur, how many villages are destroyed, how the army person saved the people. That is how the 2 years baby saved from the army officer. Okay, children, thank you. Go once again. You read that lesson, earthquake, and then you can understand still more clearly before reading the question answers. Okay.